Back then, it was like, you have to show me attention. Like, you have to talk to me all the time. You have to like give me constant reassurance. And that has to do with my security and insecurity, as the case may be, where it's like, oh, I'm always needing something from someone. No. Love starts with yourself. It starts with self-love. And with that, I will say it's also important to remember God, because we are made in His image. So if I'm loving myself, I'm also in turn loving God, because I'm taking care of myself. I am worshiping God, I'm worshiping myself. And it's all tied into each other because, like I said, we're made in God's image. But going back to, younger me, just feeling like I needed assurance all the time. I needed somebody to tell me this, buy me this, take me here. Sometimes you just need to look inward. And you don't always have to get that validation from, the person you love or people you love, Once you are secure in yourself, I think it takes care of so many other things that you don't need from other people. Because it's when you are looking outward and looking for validation, like security from other people, that it introduces a lot of stress that we really don't need, Yeah, so now it feels chill, it feels calm, because I'm focusing on me, trying to get that aspect of my life on track before I then look outward to find someone who complements me and not completes me. Yeah, that's what it is. The simplest definition that I can give of love, which even comes from the Bible, is love is patient. Because I feel like the greatest example of love that we've been shown as humans, and if you're a Christian, is God, is Jesus, giving His life for us. And we sin every day. Every day. I mean, just waking up and breathing sometimes. You've already thought of something that probably isn't right. But He's so patient with us. He's so merciful, So, yeah, I think love is patient, even aside the religious aspect of things. Dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, there's no way you're not going to make a mistake. There's no way you're not going to piss somebody off, And it's up to the person to be patient with you, to forgive. I feel like patience leads to so many other things, right? That has to do with love. And even aside relating with other people, yourself, you have to be patient with yourself, because, every year we make these resolutions and we have goals for ourselves. And we're like, by January I must do this. By June, first quarter, this and that, I must do this. But then we're humans. Like, sometimes we don't meet these goals. Sometimes we don't do the things that we set out for ourselves. But we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to love ourselves through those hard times. And yeah, like, patience with yourself, patience with other people, I think is a good definition of what love is. Like, it's all encompassing, and then when you're patient with somebody, that's when forgiveness comes into play, and, kindness comes into play. So many other good things, I don't want to be too like pastor, but it has to do with like fruits of the spirit and so many other things. But yeah, I think the most basic definition of love that I can give is love is patient. Love feels like a warm hug on a cold day when you just feel like, oh, just things are not going the way I wanted to, or like things are crumbling, and then you just have that feeling of safety, warmth, and lightness. Because I feel like when you feel heavy and like there's a lot of burden that you are carrying, when you speak to someone you love, even for them to just ask, oh, how are you? Like, you don't even have to go into the details. Let them just show that concern and that act of kindness. It makes you feel light. Like it takes off like so much weight from you. So yeah, love feels like a warm hug, and it feels like safety. It feels like a weight has been lifted off. It feels light. I think that's one major thing that I've learned in recent times. When I was younger, I feel like love was very, exciting. Oh, if I'm not doing this, it's not love. Oh, if I'm not feeling like this, it's not love. But sometimes love just feels like peace. And of course, it comes with, I think, like experiences and like maturity, because human beings are so dynamic. Like, we evolve every single day. So what love felt to me back then is definitely not what it feels like right now, Not to say that back then was wrong and this is right, or vice versa, whatever. It just changes, as you evolve as a human being. And I think that's where like self-exploration and things like that come into play. However, one thing I will say is it should feel light. It should not feel like a burden. It should not feel heavy. It should not feel difficult. It should feel light. So yeah, love feels light. Love feels like peace. For a very long time in my life, or for the most part of my childhood, I was alone with my mom. I have siblings, of course. I have a dad, I have a big family, but for the most part of my childhood, it was just me and my mom, and I know I used to disturb her. Like, if she was my first friend, she is, still my bestie till this day. Having that relationship with her and noticing when she comes down to my level to be my friend. This is someone who is an established businesswoman, she has so many things she's doing, but when it came to Eki, she was my friend, she was young at heart, she's just always been that person. I cannot put my finger on an exact moment where like something happened and I was like, oh, this is love. My mom loves me. It was just something I always felt, still feel, and I don't take for granted. I enjoy it. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and he watched a video, a reel that my mom, because she has like her whole Instagram page, and she's a pastor and she does content, and she started about 2 or 3 years ago, and every month she has this Instagram live that she does, and she's so consistent, and it's so inspiring for me, because I know I dropped the ball a lot, but I'm saying all this just to give some backstory and context to, my friend watched one of her videos where she said, she cut her hair and she couldn't believe how freeing it felt for her. She took a shower and the water on her head was just so nice. And he was trying to remind me of the video, and it was as if I was watching my mom. And after he did the whole reenactment of it, he was like, after watching the video, he said, how can someone just have so much joy and just be exuding so much love? And I was like, yeah, that's my mom. And growing up with somebody like that, so closely, so attentive, there's no way you don't feel loved. If a stranger who has never met her before has watched just this one video and he's feeling it, how much more someone who she birthed and raised, There's no way I'm not gonna feel that love every single day of my life. Love you, mommy. I know it's not even just a feeling. I know that how because I'm a very playful person, right? And there's no way I can be like super comfortable with someone who is not as like playful and jovial as me. Like, even if you are serious, I have serious friends, of course. It's not as if I'm just a jokester who just doesn't take life seriously. Like, there are moments for that, but there has to be a time where we can just let loose, where we can just chill, where we can just relax and just feel like, okay, I'm being myself around this person and this person loves me the way I am, and I'm at peace with this person. I don't have to form. I don't have to, act a certain way that doesn't feel natural to me. So with her, I've always been encouraged to be myself, and with my playful self, serious, she will come down to that part of me and meet me where I need to be met. She would play with me, she would sing with me. Even when she would always tell her friends this story. Sorry. She will always tell me that her friends that my daughter is going to grow up to be a chef. She bought me, these mini kitchen sets now. I had one, and I'll put sand this side, put water, put stone. I'll cook it, put it on the tiny plates, and go and serve it to her. She would now look at me, okay, so what's this dish called? Chef Eke. What's this dish called? And I'll, come up with something random. And she would take this small spoon and eat. I mean, she don't put it in her mouth, but like, she'll, joke with me and, we'll act it out. And this is really nice, but I think you added too much salt. Maybe you should just reduce the salt next time, So it's those moments. And then we have this other thing called a song for the moment, So if something happens, she can just start singing about it, and then I'll complete the next verse of the song, and then she'll complete, and it just became a thing, where it's like, our song for the moment, our song for the moment. Ask us in like 2 days, we don't remember what it was about, because there's probably another song that is raining there, So it's just these little playful moments where you can feel relaxed around the person that I feel like she taught me, and I try to bring to other people the way I show them love, because there's nothing, let me not exaggerate. I want to say nothing better, but it feels really good when you feel like you can be yourself around somebody that you love and they love you back as well, If you feel at peace, you feel like you can be your authentic self. There's no better feeling. Like, you don't have to put on a mask. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to be who you're not, Being patient with me, coming down to my level and making me feel comfortable, making me feel safe to make mistakes, making me feel safe to be playful, to be silly, and to just be a child. I feel like these days we have gotten too serious with a lot of things, and we forget how to play, forget how to be a bit silly and unserious sometimes, and everybody's just, uptight. Adulting is hard, yes, 100%. I will say that. I know that. But you have to balance the seriousness with play sometimes, It's the spice of life. Popsy's very straight, very logical, He does have a few good jokes every now and then, but he's that wise voice, For me, I feel like there's nobody that can give me the best advice more than my father, because he's related to so many people, started so many businesses, he has a vast experience when it comes to life. Not saying that my mom doesn't, but I feel like the two of them balance each other out, where it's like he's more serious and logical, and she brings, the play and spirituality, and then they just merge and have created this foundation for my siblings and I and other people who have benefited from their love. And it has made me into who I am, Like I said, there's a time to be serious, there's a time to play, and nobody understands that more than my dad. My parents, love them, love you so much. Shout out to them. They call themselves Darl, which is DARL, short for darling. And of course, my siblings and I would take the piece sometimes. We call them the Darlingtons. It sounds so Bridgerton. Well, we call them the Darlingtons. Right from hearing them call themselves that, you just know that there's affection, And then in the mornings, going to work, they kiss each other goodbye. When they come back, they kiss each other welcome. They are friends, and I'm trying to find the words to describe this feeling of seeing my parents be friends. It creates an ease when you're a child and you are seeing adults be like playful around you, because as a child, you really don't know what it's like to be an adult, and you just, see them making all these moves, carrying briefcase, doing this, doing that, and you might feel intimidated by it. But then when they come home and everybody's on the dining table, always had dinner together, everybody on the table, and sometimes we would watch TV together and like talk about what it is that we're watching. Sometimes it's not on and we're just enjoying each other's company and talking about our day and the different things that happen. But as a child, seeing them play and laugh together creates an ease with how we relate with each other as as siblings, and how we relate with our parents as child to adult and all that, because we've seen these adults do that, and you're like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like this. Like, I want what it is that they have. This is the ideal representation of what I should want for myself, and I'm grateful to God that I had that experience growing up, where it's like my parents were friends. They loved to keep each other company. Sometimes they even come and talk to, that your mom is safe. And that is safe. Like, just make, and you know what they are talking about, because obviously you have an experience of that person, so it's like there's an inside joke, but then the person still knows the joke, and everybody is just on a positive vibe, so to speak. It makes you feel like it's possible to achieve that kind of thing when you're in that situation. It's like I can find good love. I can find someone who I'm friends with and who can also help me grow in other ways, like business and whatever. But I can also feel like I'm myself with this person, and they accept me for who I am, and the person is my friend. Seeing them be each other's best friend over the years is the perfect example of what I'm looking for, A quality time, for sure. For sure. Me and one of my friends even have this thing called quality, where the T is spelt with TEA, because we love tea. So quality time. And, we just, of course, get cups of tea and sit and talk and gist and just, check in with each other in every aspect, work, mental, whatever, and it's things like that that really make me feel like I'm connecting with someone and I'm filling my cup so I can pour into the person. So I like the other love languages too, you can give me some gifts, you can help me do stuff, acts of service. What do they call it, that one? Yeah. And then physical touch. No, hugs are peak. Love hugs, so yeah, I dabble in all five. Sometimes even add food safe to the last one. Food is a love language, but my number one is definitely quality time. Yeah. It felt like home, because that's what I know love to feel like from my experience with my family, my mom, dad, siblings. But with this person, felt like home, Funny, when we first started talking, there was one thing he said to me that I can never forget in my life. And that was when I knew that, okay, we were going to be in a relationship. And in fact, it wasn't just we're going to start dating, we're going to start courting. Because I was like, I'll probably marry this person. He was like, his heart is at home with me. And I felt the exact same way. When you feel like, I said, you can be your authentic self with the person and you just feel comfortable, you feel at ease, you feel peaceful. It feels like love, It feels like I can be heavy and I can be light with this person and they will accept me the way I am, So that was the moment I felt like, okay, I can possibly build something with this person that looks like what I've seen that I want for myself. When I feel or felt at home with him and I didn't have to pretend to be someone else. I feel like with the different encounters and like relationships I've had, it's been different types of love with the different people because nobody is the same. So there's no way it's going to be exactly the same. There can be a feeling of safety. However, it would show up in a different way with different people, I think. So I have felt love, of course, after that relationship, but it does not mean that one was like better than the other or like sometimes I don't think I can even make a direct comparison because it wouldn't be fair because even I was a different person when I met these people, so it was just different. And what I will say that is like the connecting thread is I always make sure to learn something from those experiences. Like you cannot go through heartbreak and evolving with a person and then leave without having picked something or learned something to apply to another situation, But yeah, I don't think I've peaked when it comes to finding love. I think that there's still so much that my heart can contain, and I'm open to that. I'm open to everything that love has to offer. So I used to be like closed off at a point, with so many experiences that you have with love and like romance and relationships and all that, and I just felt like I could not do it anymore. However, like I said, we're dynamic, we evolve. And now I feel like I'm at a point where if it happens, that's great. If it doesn't happen, that's also great. I'm going to be fine because, I love myself. And there's a core group of people that I know that is still the wheels fall off. And they also pour into me and I pour into them. And I know that even if that specific kind of romantic love doesn't come, I'm secure, And I find peace and joy in that because I don't want to be someone who lives their life looking for something that may not even come. Like I cannot live like that. Like I can't live in fear. I can't live in like worry and just, it's not coming. I know that there are people who feel like if they don't get married before, I don't know, they die, then they don't feel complete. But I don't want that to be me. Like I've never felt like it's the reason I was brought to life. There are also some people who feel like, if they're not mothers, they don't feel fulfilled. Like fulfillment looks different to different people, and for me, it has just never been that for me. Like, I have to get married, have to have children, no. It's just been totally different from me. For me, I just want to be happy, whether it's by myself, it's with family, it's with a man, it's with kids. Whatever God wants for me is what I want for myself. And, if it happens, that's fine. If it doesn't, I'm still gonna be me. I'm still gonna be happy and complete. How do I handle conflict with love? First, it has to be with love. And going back to what I said in the beginning about patience, you have to handle it with patience because not everybody is going to understand things the way you do. Not everybody is going to communicate the way you do. And not everyone is going to know how something they did makes you feel unless you tell them. So when handling conflict, with love, you have to do it with patience. I think that it's also important to tell the difference between when someone is being spiteful and when it's just a mistake. I think sometimes that's when discernment comes in, and also just trusting your guts and like your emotional and is it like your nervous system, like just trusting your instincts, and being able to tell, okay, when this is an honest mistake, this is a learning opportunity, okay, we're learning each other. You have to understand the way I relate, the way I communicate, the way I understand things. And, you compromise, you meet halfway. But then when it is a situation where you know that the person is just out to get you and like they're being spiteful, my advice is to save yourself. There's a limit to how much patience that you can extend to someone. I know the Bible says, 70 times, 70 times. If they slap you, you turn it and let them slap the other one. But, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and you cannot put yourself in a situation that is detrimental to your mental state or your emotional state. And sometimes you just have to save yourself, love has its conflicts and extremes, and it can be painful, but the prayer is that you go through the pain to grow. There's something called growing pains, right? You experience those things so you can learn from it, get closer, get better, understand each other more. But then if it's just painful for no reason, as in not be say we dey learn, not be say we dey grow, nothing, then I'm sorry, gotta go. I don't think I ever for once felt like I was unloved by my parents. Maybe later on in certain relationships where I believe this person loves me, but then their actions are not matching what they have made me believe or what they have told me, and then I now feel like, okay, something is wrong here, and then you now have to reevaluate and like think about the situation a bit more critically. And then that's when you now start to realize, okay, this person really doesn't love me. You say you love me, but the actions are not matching the words, or you don't even say it, and I'm just the one here feeding myself, and it's sad in situations where you feel like you're the person carrying the relationship and carrying the love, and the person is not reciprocating. There's nothing worse, but in general, I would say there hasn't been a time where I just feel unloved in its entirety, because I know I love myself. And like I mentioned, there's a core group of people that I know I can get love from, and like I said, pour into each other, pour into you, pour into me. And in fact, I don't want to entertain the feeling or the thought of being unloved. No. We bring all the facts and variables to the table and we discuss it. And I cannot see myself being in a situation where I have to give up what looks like my future for someone else. If there is a detour, I can accommodate that. If there is like a compromise, like a temporary, the thing is, it will build resentment, and I can't live like that. Like, how much am I sacrificing for this person that will still give me joy and happiness later for me to keep loving this person? Like, no, we have to be realistic. Yes, love is sweet or this and that, but at the end of the day, I came to this life alone, and I'm gonna die alone. So I'm not just going to jeopardize what it is, the vision I have for myself, what I'm trying to build for myself, just because, I don't know. I think there are ways around it. If it seems so sacrificial and, it's no longer a compromise and it's just like I'm giving up so much, you're not going to find me there. No. Like I said, pour into you, pour into me. I'm helping you, you are helping me. You have to be considerate of me. you have to be the same way I'm considerate of it. Then we can meet halfway. Like I said, if it's a temporary thing, it's a detour, we have to have an end goal. And then at that point, when we're supposed to make that change, if we're no longer aligning, our visions for the future we had has changed, then we'll discuss it again and see what the new plan is. But if it's just, oh, I'm the person who is giving, I'm sacrificing so much of myself, it, like I said, it's gonna lead to resentment, and you can't live like that, because at the end of the day, that affects the love that you're trying to show this person and how you're even receiving love from this person. Because the person will think, oh, they are showing you so much love, and they are buying you this, you guys are comfortable, this person has done this for me. But in the deeper part of your heart, you're like, oh, what about me? Like, what about the plans I had for myself? What about, However, I think that motherhood is a very deep kind of sacrificial love, and it's totally different from what I'm talking about. If it's, a relationship, and then, yeah, it's different. But like for mothers, I know that there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. And that's like a totally different story. I'm not a mother, so I cannot say, but I have been around mothers. I have friends that are mothers, my sisters, Jiggets. Like I've seen these experiences firsthand. So I know that there's sacrifice that comes into that. Yes to compromise, yes to consideration, but I cannot kill myself for you. Do you get? Like, yes, in the Bible, there's a verse that says, John 13:15, there's no greater love than a man laying down his life for his friends. You see, we're all trying to be Jesus, we're made in the image of the Lord, but at the end of the day, we're all flawed humans. I don't think I've ever thought of myself as being someone that will just sacrifice my whole life for, no. We're individuals coming together to build something as a unit, so both people have to be considered. And that's just where I stand with that. I don't know if I'll outrightly say no to sacrifice. Maybe the magnitude of the sacrifice can determine, the compromise or whatever, but I have to be considered. Based on my own experiences, honey, love yourself. What? And I feel like when you love yourself and you love God, there's a way you show up in the world that you start to demand the kind of love that you want to receive. And people just see you and they're like, okay, I cannot just treat this person just anyhow. Like, I can't just show up in this person's life and just fumble, and is that, like I said before, that sense of security when you are you're powerful in yourself, in the love that you have for yourself. You will not accept rubbish now. The other day I was watching something, or was it on Instagram? Reels scrolling. The quality of partner that you pick for yourself or how your partner treats you is a reflection of how you love yourself. I can't imagine not having the relationship that I had with my mom, growing up, maturing, and even just going through certain life experiences. It is the fact that she loved me before I knew myself to love myself as much as I do now that has saved me from so many situations that could have killed me. Facts. But because of that experience with this woman, I know that I'm worth so much more. And I'm not going to stay in a situation where there's no love for me there. I'm not going to beg anybody. I'm not going to compromise my happiness. And that's it. She was the perfect example for me growing up of how I want to be loved, how I want to love, and how I want to show up in the world as love. It's my mommy.